Well, we have spoken at length about the Vice President's role as the border czar, but we also need to talk a little bit about her role as the broadband czar. Because 3 years ago, the President directed Vice President Harris to be in charge of ensuring that the $42 billion that was authorized 3 years ago actually got out to serve underserved areas, hook up people who don't have broadband to broadband service. That was 1,043 days ago. $42 billion. Not a single dollar has been spent. Not a single person has been connected to broadband service under this program, under the watch and supervision of the so-called broadband czar, Vice President Kamala Harris. And so as yet another example of the failure of this administration, their inability to do basic things. And one of the reasons they didn't get people hooked up, and none of the money has yet been spent, is because of all the onerous and burdensome restrictions and regulations and requirements and mandates they imposed on the use of the funds. I can tell you in the state of South Dakota, we don't have a single telecom out there that's been able to use any of this because they make it so hard to qualify for. You got to meet all their climate requirements. You got to meet all their DEI requirements. You have to meet all their requirements to use union workers, which in right-to-work states it makes it very, very difficult. So this is just yet another example of this administration's failure. Since this president and vice president took office, there have been 1,000 regulations that have cost $1.7 trillion. That's $1.7 trillion taken out of the economy, and that's over 5 times what the Obama administration's cost of regulations was. So, and they weren't exactly known as being, an administration that was willing or ready to cut red tape. So again, just another example of this administration's failure, their inefficiency, their management, and their inability to do the basic things of governing well. And I can't help but think what if Vice President Harris is successful, what the next 4 years could look like if she takes her record as broadband czar and border czar to running the whole of government. I think that's a world that the American people shouldn't and hopefully won't have to enter.